evening, or our topic for this evening, which is Stress Management Part 2, Art and Music. We will have two presenters this evening. Our first presenter is Dr. Otto Wilson. Dr. Wilson is an educator who is passionate about designing inspiring learning resources to help scholars of all ages learn about the wonders of the universe at their full potential. Dr. Wilson earned his Bachelor of Science, Master of Science, and PhD degrees at Rutgers University in the field of ceramic science and engineering. While studying at Rutgers, Dr. Wilson discovered the field of biomaterials and biomedical engineering, and his passion for these fields has blossomed into a research program at the Catholic University of America that focuses on bone tissue engineering, the new field of tissue origami engineering, and a new field of engineering called education engineering. Dr. Wilson loves to help fan the creative spark in people by helping them find the link between their passions and their educational goals through inspiration, entrepreneurship, and creative STEM stream writing, including children and young adult science fiction stories. Please feel free to contact him when in need of resources, ideas, and a partner to help bring your professional learning and development dreams to fruition. Welcome, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you very much, Devi. Just a quick comment about the picture. One of my main research areas and passions is related to bone, so I couldn't resist taking a picture with this skeleton. It's in a store at Union Station in DC. So I didn't murder anybody to make that skeleton or anything, or skeleton for my closet or anything like that. But thank you, Devi. Next slide, please. So today we want to talk about a really neat opportunity for learning, and this is related to art therapy and addictions. So we'll talk a little bit about art therapy, basic definitions, and how art therapy can be used to help alleviate addictions or even overcome them. And so the focus that we'll talk about tonight is origami, one of my passions in learning, and also lava lamps. And we'll get a chance to make a lava lamp a little bit later in our session. Next slide, please. Okay, so for our outline, we'd like to talk about a different perspective on addictions. So to be frank with you, I think we all have addictions to something. Some are more socially acceptable than others. Some people say they might be addicted to different food items, pasta or ice cream. But you can think about addictions, if at all possible, in a positive light, and we'll try to put that aspect of it in terms of, can you be addicted to a good thing? Right? And then what is art therapy? How can art therapy be used to bring healing to your mind and spirit? And then we'll talk a little bit about origami and lava lamps. Okay. Next slide, please. All right. So in terms of different perspectives on addiction, I love the animal kingdom. And in my classes and things, I love to refer to God and how he's done some miraculous things. So we're all addicted to something, as I mentioned a little earlier. Now, even in the animal kingdom, there are addictions. So here we have a picture of a dolphin, and it's kind of got cut off a little bit, but that's a pufferfish, right? So it's actually a matter of debate whether it's actually intended or not, but a British camera crew caught a picture of dolphins in a group, and they were actually bouncing the pufferfish around. And as you know, or may know, pufferfish can excrete a toxin. And in low levels, this toxin, they believe that the dolphins were actually getting high off of this toxin. So it was potentially an intentional behavior to get high. On another level, lemurs, these are lemurs here, and this is well documented. Lemurs will actually, when they find millipedes in the wild, and here's a millipede, that the lemur has grasped, they'll not kill it, but they'll bite at it. And the millipede produces a toxin which I believe has some cyanide in it. And in small amounts, the lemur will actually ingest it. It makes the lemur salivate, and then the lemur will take that saliva and mix with the excretions from the millipede, and it'll rub it on its fur, right? But also, they get really glassy eyed and kind of disoriented from this process. Now, as far as why, that's an actually even more interesting question. Why do they do that? The side effect is the quote unquote intoxication, but they believe that the excretions from the millipede that's mixed with their saliva actually helps to protect them from insects like mosquitoes. And there's an even newer research which shows that potentially it helps them to uh, affect if they have any stomach like parasites. It'll actually kill the stomach parasites. So they get high. Also has some health benefits. I guess the high or the addictive aspect is a side effect. Now, I'd like to take a minute to say, is there such a thing as a positive or good addiction? There was a famous song from the 80s or 90s, Addicted to Love. So usually when you talk about addictions, it's an uncontrolled urge or uncontrolled psychological need to do something, whether it's take opioids or result in some other behaviors, which may or may not be socially acceptable. So in this case, I used to, if you remember, a couple presidents ago, um, one of the Bush, I think it was the senior Bush, did not like broccoli. So we're told that broccoli is a good food. And back then, I kind of had a thought. I said, I wonder, could you make people addicted to broccoli or something that's helpful, or like addicted to algebra? Or so it's kind of like a crazy ponderings, but that's, let's say, a controlled addiction. And there was an interesting article that I found when I was looking information for tonight. It talked about success. So there's an article, 5 ways you can develop a positive addiction to success, found in Entrepreneur Magazine from 2015. So it's a nice resource if you're ever interested in looking at it. Now, what is art therapy? Art therapy involves the use of creative techniques, drawing. Thank you, Shadana, for the wonderful talk on art therapy. Um, Drawing, painting, making collages, coloring, origami, one of my favorite art therapies, or even sculpting, and helps people express themselves artistically. And it also can shed some light on their psychological and emotional states and by some of the undertones that come through their artwork. Now, who can benefit from art therapy? Pretty much anybody. Helps children, adolescents, adults, and these art therapy can be used to help them explore their emotions, improve their self-esteem, manage addictions, relieve stress, improve symptoms of anxiety and depression, and cope with a physical illness or disability. And then we can ask the question, why does art therapy hold such promise for hope and healing from addiction? Now, I believe that people are created in God's image, and that's a famous statement that's taken from one of the greatest book ever written, the Bible. But if you think about it, what does this really mean? And I think that there's deeper physical or deeper meaning to that sense, in the sense that we're just physically look like God. It's actually more in terms of mental capacity, the power to create. And art is a one wonderful medium through which you can create. And a direct parallel is, I like to say that God creates, or when he paints using atoms and molecules and the beautiful displays that you can see in the universe, from Hubble Space Telescope pictures that come back, show immense wonders in terms of colors and shapes, and it's just a wonderful. And we can, in essence, try to capture the essence of those beautiful scenes, whether it's a nebula in space or or the moon or a beautiful sunset. We use paints and pigments, right, to try to duplicate or replicate what we can see. And that process of creating allows us to tie in a special way with our creator. And that puts us in what I call a creative artistic zone, right? Shadana also mentioned a little bit earlier about sometimes art puts you in the zone. Um, Being in the zone is kind of like, you know, it's kind of a wonderful experience where you're just so concentrate on something and just amazed at what's happening. That time typically passes at a different rate. It passes at a slow rate, or you're actually not even cognizant of the time passing. Right? So art helps us to get in that creative zone. Now I'm talking about this band creating God's image. I love this story was told in if you get a chance, there's a wonderful TED talk by Sir Ken Robinson that you really need to look at. I believe it might be the most viewed TED talk. And he talks about how schools kill creativity and some alternatives for that. This picture here is taken from the Hubble telescope, and it shows what's called the pillars of creation. And it kind of also almost looks like a hand, which you can think about as making an artistic object. But the story that Sir Ken Robinson told, one of the stories he told, was about a little girl who was in literally an art therapy class. She was in class, her teacher was instructing her about drawing with the other students. And so she, on other occasions, hadn't really been engaged, but on this one, she was really engaged. She had her tongue, probably tongue sticking out. She was concentrating and drawing. And her teacher asked her, "What are you drawing?" She was amazed at her intentness. And the little girl said, "I'm drawing a picture of God." And the teacher said, "But nobody knows what God looks like." And the little girl says, "You will in a minute." Right? So I love that confidence which comes out. Art can bring out confidence, even if, stick figures, you can make those stick figures have authority. Right? You can have them do wonderful things. And as you build your levels, your artwork improves. Right? Next slide, please. Right? So I love this picture here. It shows a child playing with building blocks, right? But the child himself is made up of building blocks. So you can think about different levels of building blocks. There's cells in that child. There's atoms in that child. But the most amazing thing is his but the most amazing thing is that the child's mind, it can comprehend things. It can instruct his hands to do things. It can build. It can imagine. It can create. And we need to think, especially in lines with Sir Ken Robinson, how do we nourish, how do we cultivate, how do we propagate this childlike innocence, the childlike energy, the childlike inspiration, and have that present in our whole lives, right? So if sometimes we're taught that, stop behaving like a child, I'm kind of like a big kid, right? And I call the children that I teach, children range in age from birth to 99, right? But there's times we need to be mature, but have that childlike wonder, have that childlike expression. And even children, before they're told otherwise, they're not afraid to make mistakes, right? We're going to make mistakes. Just don't make the same mistake over and over again, right? Make new mistakes and learn from the process. And art gives us a wonderful way to make mistakes, and you can actually blend it into your artwork or try again, right? So art inspiration strikes a chord that resonates in your heart and stimulates your mind. Next slide, please. Right? So one of the fascinating things, I don't have time to go into it in a lot of detail, but Frank Lloyd Wright was a very famous architect, designed many beautiful structures, and he used the landscape to kind of blend in with the structures. Now, he says that when he was young, Froebel was the name of a man who started the concept of kindergartens in Germany in 1840. And children's gardens are playthings. So Froebel blocks is part of developmental tools and toys that teach children about structures, geometry, shapes, and helps them to be able to have a good perspective for um, art development. So he says that for several years, he sat at his little kindergarten tabletop and he played with wooden shapes, a cube, a sphere, and a triangle. And he says they're still in his fingers to the day. So that's amazing how there's a transfer from physically handling something through the brain and actually integrating into his what became his career. Right? And this was really mind blowing in terms of what his mother wrote. His mother wrote that when she was expecting him, so he was still in the womb, she knew that he would grow up to be a great architect and build great things. So she put pictures, artwork of great English cathedrals in his playroom. And I, don't know how it happened, but it happened. He became a great architect. So this needs some really intriguing levels in terms of inspiration and also art. And how do you, at the formative times, it's important to expose people, whether they're young or old, to a positive influence that art and geometry and things can do to improve their life. Right? Now, we'll talk a little bit about origami. Um, Origami is an ancient art form, one piece of paper, endless possibilities. So the crane is a traditional form, and that was shown in one of the first slides. And there's a legend of 1,000 cranes that um, if you fold 1,000 cranes, you get to make a wish. And this story is told in the short life, unfortunately, of Sadako Sasaki, who was exposed to during World War II when the um, atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So she was dying from radiation poisoning, and she remembered the 1,000 crane legend, or well, myth, and she was folding 1,000 cranes. And one version says that she actually made 1,000 cranes, but she had compassion on one of her other friends at the hospital, and she actually gave the wish to her friend, and then they started to make another 1,000 cranes, and she died around 765. So the 1,000 cranes has since become a symbol for world peace. And there's even a woman named Mary Golan who works with Palestinian youth and Israeli youth and brings them together, talks about peace, and uses origami as a medium to um, bridge between their cultures and help them to understand each other. So that's a wonderful application of art therapy. Here's a few origami pieces. Traditional origami, one piece of paper, no cuts, unlimited possibilities. So here we have a hermit crab, a fiddler crab, a scorpion, and a moth. I have a few other things I'll just show briefly. This is my son Otto is a wonderful origami artist himself. So this is a mother with her baby, fold from a single piece of paper. This is an elephant that Otto made. I'm sorry, it's kind of, let me go out of here for a second. There we go. Preferences. So here's the elephant. Here's the mother and the baby. This is a shape called a tessellation, single sheet. There's a nice structures. This is what's called a modular origami structure. This is a dodecahedron. That's 12 pentagons. And then this is a little baby. This is mama. This is called a buckyball structure. These are made from individual units which are linked together. I'll make this one. All right, next slide, please. This is probably the most sophisticated, or one of the most sophisticated origami objects made. It's made by a man named Robert Lang, who's has a PhD in physics, but he gave that all up after working for NASA for a number of years on space telescopes and folding mirrors, and now he does origami full time. And some of the things that he makes, people will pay him thousands of dollars for. So how about using your art therapy and origami to make a little side money? Very interesting. Right? Next slide, please. So origami in nature, and I'd love to say that God is the greatest origami designer in the world. Leaves fold. Here's a leaf bud coming opening to release a leaf. And this pattern of valley folds, mountain folds, and kinks is replicated in what's called a Miori-Ori pattern, which is used for when you have to fold something and have it open up very quickly. So folding is very beneficial when we have to do compact folding or compact packaging. So different areas of engineering are utilized, and science are utilizing this, what we learn from nature and how it packs things. And you can think about DNA, you can think about proteins, even pollen folds. If you suffer from allergies, pollen folds when it doesn't have enough water. And then tissue development is another application where folding happens. Next slide, please. So in terms of modern applications, your car safety, the airbags in your car are folded using origami techniques so that they deploy quickly and safely. Stents for opening up occluded arteries are actually kind of modeled on this shape. This is called a water bomb fold, and this could actually become a stent, which can shrink and open up to open up a clogged artery or vein. People are developing that for stents. And space telescopes and mirrors, fold them down, put them in the rocket, send them out in space, they deploy. And what we're interested in doing is, can we use origami in tissue engineering, actually to grow new organs and tissues for your body? Next slide, please. So this is a wonderful way where art, as to say, art is life, art becomes a way to save lives. Right? So in this case, this is from an ancient woodcut, which shows a magician taking a piece of paper, throwing it in the air, and it folds into a crane, paper crane, and then that paper crane becomes alive. The imagination becomes a story. So this is a famous story called The Paper Crane. It's, I believe, a Chinese story where a traveler was weary, it was raining. He comes upon a restaurant and the restaurant's closed and business has been bad, so the restaurant's also poor. But he asks for mercy and says, please give me a place to stay and some food. And they have mercy on him, they allow him to stay there. And he's very grateful. So in the morning, he folds a paper crane, and he's gone when the people wake up, but this paper crane comes to life and it dances. And people hear about this and they come and they're hungry, and so the business is saved. Right? So we take those concepts and we say, well, can we actually make a heart using origami principles and seed it with cardiac cells and have it transform into a fully functioning heart? So again, this is a wonderful way showing how we can adapt an art form which can be used for mental therapy. They could be actually transformed not only for mental therapy, but also physical rehabilitation and also development and enhancement of organs. Right? So we call this tissue origami engineering, right? Or origami. And so these transformative aspects of origami, as well as other art forms, can be utilized in a lot of different ways to enhance many areas of not only technology, but also stress relief and health, mental health, so forth. So it's wonderful. Right? Next slide, please. All right. So we want to talk about where will art therapy inspiration take us next. So I play around a lot with acronyms. So one of those opioid response resources and inspired gifts to achieve miracles and insight, origami. So let's look into our lava lamp as an extension of an art product. So lava lamps, we kind of taken a walk down memory lane. Some of us who are a little bit more age challenged will remember things when these came out. So actually, I don't remember when it came out. I was born in the 60s, but these were actually, the initial concept came around in the late 40s in England, and it took the gentleman about 15 years to fully develop it and put it on the market. But after doing the chemistry and developing the optical effects, but this kind of puts you in memory of, or in sight of some things like things that happen in the universe. But you have these blobs bubbling and rising and falling due to heat. When they're heated at the bottom, they rise, and then when they cool, they come back down. So this is the lava lamp. Sold many millions of them. It really became popular when I think it was Ringo Starr from the Beatles bought one. So everybody had one after that. So I'm gonna demonstrate how to make one real quick. So your ingredients that you need are a water bottle, right? Of course, water. So we can also talk a little bit about the importance of drinking water each day. Water helps to cleanse your body. So water bottle, oil, vegetable oil. You need Alka-Seltzer, and you can use food coloring and glitter if you want all to sparkle. So basically, you want to have roughly a quarter of your water bottle filled with water. Right? We're going to add a drop of food coloring. This is purple. Right? So you see how the water is turning purple. And now we're going to fill the rest of the bottle up with our vegetable oil. I don't want to spill that on my computer. That wouldn't be good. So if you probably had experience with this, oil and water do not mix. That's called immiscible. So we're going to put the oil in there. And you can kind of see how the little bubbles are forming. Right? So you have water at the top, or water at the bottom. Sorry, water is more dense than the oil. And now we're going to add our Alka-Seltzer tablet. So I'm going to take one of them out, and I'm going to crush it into smaller pieces. And we're going to drop it into solution. So drop it into the bottom. It drops through the oil phase, goes into the water, and it starts to bubble. And you can see the oil, the movement of the bubbles. Can you see that? I'm gonna shake a little bit. Put the lid on. So you can start to see bubbles form, they rise, and then they reach the top, and then when the bubbles pop, they come back down. So the bubbles are water filled. Looks like the bubbles Yeah, we're starting to get some of the purple ones come up. Yeah. So you can change the effect by adding less of the Alka-Seltzer or more. And there we have a lava lamp. Okay. So you can also experiment on the different amounts of water and oil and see how that influences the effect. All right, stop there. Anyone have any questions or comments? If not, please don't, if nothing at this time, please don't hesitate to contact me in the future. I'd love to talk more with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Otto, for that interesting and informative presentation. Now we will have our second presenter, Mr. Charles Johnson Jr. Charles Johnson Jr. is a multi-talented gospel saxophonist, musician, songwriter, choir director, recording artist, and minister of music who creates and performs anointed, inspirational, and passionate music from his heart with the saxophone that emulates the soulful emotion and expressive lyrical style of a gospel or jazz vocalist. A native of Dayton, Ohio, Charles's love for the deep, rich tone of the tenor saxophone served as the impetus to further developing his technique and unique style on the instrument at the Kent State University School of Music. Charles has also been gifted to play several brass and woodwind instruments as well as a piano. Charles's love for God and the message and inspiration of gospel music has helped to shape and influence both his songwriting and performance style. Charles enjoys directing choirs and worship teams and is the founding gospel choir director of Loyola University, Maryland, formerly Loyola College. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you, Devi. I appreciate that. Good evening. It's a hard act to follow. I don't have anything that's going to explode or blow up. Thank you, Brother Otto. That was an awesome thing, a hard act to follow. Good evening, everyone. Music is very powerful. Have you ever sung in the shower? Have you ever sung in your car? When you go to the store, you hear music. It's part of the marketing strategy. Music is all around us, in us, through us. And it has been a part of my life literally since I was a child. I started playing in the 4th grade in public school, Dayton Public School education, started on the flute. And then by the time I got to the 8th grade, I could play all woodwinds and brass instruments. I just was that passionate about it. God had given me the gift. My mother brought a piano. Nobody could play it, but I just gravitated towards it. Before I knew it, I was playing songs and I was accompanying her. My mother was a singer, come from a very musical family. My brothers, my sister, all of us sing and do music. Music is all around. It has been a very positive part of my life. I believe it has actually kept me close to God. It ministers to other people, but it also can minister to you, and it also can be a great stress reliever. And that's what this session is about tonight. And I want it to be more interactive, so I'm going to ask you some questions. I just want to start off with some songs tonight. It's almost going to be like Name That Tune. And I just want you to see how music marks the events of our life, whether it's positive or negative. Some things we remember strictly by the song that we heard or the music that we heard. So listen to these songs and let me know what you're thinking as you hear them. You can put it in the chat. All right, did you get that? Do we have any graduates? Yes, graduation. Yes, a very memorable, good, positive experience that we celebrate for our youth and even olders. I know I didn't get my college degree till I was in my 40s, so I was happy and blessed. Now that's one. So that's see how music ties in the events of our lives. Listen to this next song. And let me change my sound here. Everybody should hear this song. Yes, everyone has a birthday. That's right. Happy birthday to you. If we have any birthdays tonight, that was for you. Happy birthday. And listen to this one. Some of you have heard this. All of us have heard it, whether for ourselves or for someone else. That's right. Wedding. There we go. And if you're single, your day is coming. But I know you've been to a wedding. Even if you're single, you've been to a wedding. How many have been to a wedding that started on time? Okay, that's a whole nother story. My wedding didn't even start on time. And I'm a musician. I think I've played one wedding in my entire career that started on time. That's a sermon for another day. All right, listen to this. What do you think about when you hear this song? My first song. All right, Bill Withers, Lean on Me. All right, I'm not going to play the rest of it. You know what that's all about. That's another song that could be a source of de-stressing, leaning on people, leaning on each other. We all need each other, all right? So I just wanted to start out with that to let you see how music is a great part of our life, our culture. Music transcends culture. It transcends gender, religion, every strata. I can go to Japan or China and play the same music and they would hopefully they would enjoy it. I've been across the country, I've been out of the country, and I've played at numerous things, and it has been a wonder to see people respond who don't look like me, who weren't raised like me, who don't even believe what I believe, but they are blessed. Music is a universal language. Now, what does music do? We heard briefly this evening, Sister Shadana said that music does a lot for us. And I want to just talk a little bit about that and elaborate a little bit more. Music stimulates our brain. You've been hearing in a lot of our presentations how opioids and other things affect the brain, the central system, or the brain, the capital of everything that we do. It is headquarters. That's the word I'm looking for. So music stimulates our brain and it causes it to release dopamine. Now, dopamine is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure or reward. We get that when we work out, even during sexual intercourse. I know we're adults here. Dopamine is released. It also stimulates our brain to release what's called serotonin, which brings the body a sense of calm and can also strengthen our immune system. Music does that as it stimulates our brain. So dopamine, serotonin, and also, and you've heard these terms before if you've been with us, oxytocin, which allows people to connect with others. It is the communal neurotransmitter. Music has so many elements in it. It has rhythm, it has tension, it has release. Let me say that again. Music has rhythm, that's the beat. It has tension, that's the type of climax and undercurrent of it, bringing it down, taking it up. It's highs and its lows. We call it in music anticrusis, the high point of the song, and then we bring it down. So there's tension in music, and then there's calm or release in music. There's also melody and rhythm and tempo. Did you know we even breathe to a rhythm? And the Sister Shadana has been doing that for us in the evenings as well. I mean, at the end of our presentations, doing breathing, and we'll do that tonight as well. We breathe to a rhythm. Our heartbeat beats to a rhythm. Doom, 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 doom. That is a beat. God made us. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. So all of that is a part of music. Now listen to this. The brain can actually distinguish between music and the noise. It can distinguish between music and what is noise, like background cars, traffic, and all of that. It can distinguish between that by a specific pathway to process music, which includes pitch, melody, rhythm, and tempo. So the pitch, the melody, the rhythm, and tempo. And the music that I played for you before, we recognize that because we are familiar with the melody. The melody is the recognizable tune that we know. Happy birthday to you. When you sing, that's the melody. If you sing in church and you sing the hymn, you sing the melody. You don't go and sing the alto or the tenor part. You sing the melody. And that's usually the soprano note or the high note. So that's a little bit about that. So the brain can distinguish between that. Now, what else does music do? And we're talking about the physical effects, physiological effects. Music also energizes your body. And Dana talked a little bit about that. Fast music increases your heart rate, respiration, and your blood pressure. We call those the vital signs. Your heart rate, respiration, and blood pressure is increased as music energizes your body. Slow music does the exact opposite, has the opposite effect on the vital signs. So it lowers all of that. So fast music, so that's what you want to use when you're working out. You don't want to put on Amazing Grace when you're about to work out. I love Amazing Grace. It's a beautiful song, but the tempo and the words and the message of that is not going to really motivate me to exercise. It's going to get me to think about God and his grace for me. Yes. And I love that. And I can do that maybe before I go to bed or throughout the day, but I'm not going to put that on before I exercise. Now, let me give you a good song here that would be good for exercise. Let me see if you can hear this. And let me know if you know this one. Y'all hear that? Oh, happy. Oh, somebody put happy. Yeah. That's for real. I want to get to the chorus. Let me hear a little bit of that chorus. That's the part where you can do your kick, do your aerobics, do whatever you want to do. All right, I just want you to hear a little bit of that. That's an example of a good song. Did you hear the beat? Now, that's a fast song, a good, nice, modest tempo, not too fast, not going to kill you, but that's a great song to do some exercise to. When you put music with your exercise, it is great. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I think I got something on that coming up. But that shows anyone who's working out to music, studies have shown that syncing up your favorite songs or your playlist with your exercise routine allows you to perform more efficiently with less oxygen and work out longer than if you didn't listen to any music. You get tired more quick. So look at syncing that up your music with your exercise. Look at the pro athletes. Look at LeBron James. Look at all the people before they go out, the tennis players and all of them. What do they have on? They have on what I have on tonight. Headphones. They're listening to the music. They're putting themselves in an atmosphere to pump themselves up to be able to achieve what they're going. They're going out to win. They're not going out to lose. So they're not going to play any slow, sad music, Bach or Beethoven. I don't think they would anyway. Before they go out, they're pumping themselves up. Might be rap, might be rock and roll, it might be something like that. I don't know. But whatever the music is that motivates you, use that music and sync it up with your exercise, and you will see greater results. Music also, other than energizing your body, music decreases or reduces feelings of fatigue and stress. And Sedana alluded to this a little bit earlier, and I'm not going to go in too much depth about that, but research does show, and I corroborate that with her, that music can lower cortisol. That is the stress hormone. In the short term, cortisol protects the body from stress. It is put there by God to do that, while long-term chronic cortisol release can suppress the immune system. So we need to be balanced with that cortisol release, but music can lower the cortisol. Listening to music after a stressful event can allow the body to recover faster, physically and return to what we call homeostasis. It provides comfort and helps develop coping skills. So music can be all a part of managing your stress, and it just helps you in a particular way that no other thing can help you. Music is powerful. It touches the soul of a person. And I just want to play a little music here to let you hear that. Now, some people like instrumental music, and what I'm really trying to show you tonight is there is a variety of music. I've played everything from Bach and Beethoven to Kirk Whalum to jazz to whatever. I cover the gamut. So widen your palette of music, listen to it, and let it help you in those times of stressful moments. Now, let me know what you think about this song. Let me know if you know this song right here. And what I'm playing is a soprano saxophone. Know if you can see it. Mine's is black because I want it to be different. Kenny G plays a gold one, so I want to be different. All right, so I'm gonna turn my microphone down a little bit. Let me know if you know this song. I'll play one and then I'll play another one. Did you know that one? Who got it? Who got it? I missed the chat while I was playing. Somebody say it out loud. Take yourself off mute and say it.
My favorite things.
My favorite things. That's right. From The Sound of Music. So you got to be a little bit older to know that one. Amen. So we all together on that one. The Sound of Music. Now listen to this one. And these are songs that can help you think about those things to help you de-stress. Listen to this one. Which one was that one? Somebody call it out. Did you put it in the chat? Yep. I Believe I Can Fly. Now that's a song that you can put on when you're feeling down, and you can put on a whole song. I'm just showing you the difference. Some people like instrumental music. Some people like it, and I have songs that I play with background music, with strings and all of that. And I'm going to play a couple of songs tonight to help you, that may help you de-stress. Listen to a couple of these songs. I'm going to play them on the piano. You let me know what you're feeling as you listen to these songs. The first song I'm going to play is called a little bit of For Every Mountain. It's one of my favorite songs. little bit of classical. If you like classical, type that. Now I'm gonna change the mood a little bit. Remember, music has mood. Tension building up. Release. So that's a song or something you could come home when you've had a stressful day. Does anybody like piano music? If you just like regular piano, acoustic piano, that's very soothing, it's very calming, brings your blood pressure down, allows you to relax, be able to go to sleep. If you like classical music, some of there's some other artists that play just instrumental music. You can buy CDs with just piano and all of that. So you can do that. Now let me play another song here. Now, what I'm going to do on this song is I'm going to play it first on the piano. Then I'm going to show you the difference when other instruments are added, like strings. Strings are beautiful and soothing. This is Total Praise by Richard Smallwood. I want to play it. Let me start on piano. Yeah, then I'm going to go to strings. So this is just regular piano. Switch to a string and add the strings to it. the release. Building up. So that strings adds another layer and texture to it, very soothing. So if you like strings, that's another thing that you would want to buy. Music that has strings, orchestral arrangement sounds very nice. Listening to music after a stressful day can allow your body to recover faster. Music can help to regulate your emotions. It helps to change your moods. I will play for 5 or 6 hours straight, just music, just ministering even to myself. When I've had a bad day, I'll just lock myself in my room. I'll go from one instrument to the other and just play, play, play. And after I get done, guess what? I feel a lot better. I feel more energized. I feel more focused and renewed. So it can help regulate your emotions, change your mood. It can help you process your feelings, lower anxiety, calm your fears. We are fearful and fretful over many things, especially through this past year of COVID. We have a lot of fear and anxiety. So music will help you. So I want to challenge you to find the music that helps make you feel happy, sad, calm, or hyped for exercise. Whatever that music is, put that on, incorporate it into your daily life. It will help you tremendously. Create a playlist. I have a playlist on my phone knows where to go. When I play one thing, I'll play worship songs all night long, or I'll play a certain style of music all night long. You can do the same thing for yourself. Listen to it, exercise to it, get it in your spirit, help it to help you cope with your emotions. You know, I've played Amazing Grace. I played a lot of funerals and things, and some of those songs may remind you of loved ones that you've lost, but you can have those good memories and you can reflect. So let the music come into your life. And I admonish you also to pick up an instrument. If you like to do that, or your young people, encourage them to take an instrument. It helps in so many areas of your life, with schoolwork, academics, with the math and all of those sciences. Math has been proven to help, and it also helps with chronic diseases. I'm not a musical therapist, but I've seen the effects of music on chronic pain. There are doctors that do that. So if you want to use that as an alternative to medication, I would encourage you to do that. Talk to your physician to help you get hooked up with a good musical therapist to help with your chronic pain as an alternative to opioids. I thank you for the time tonight. Any questions tonight? Anybody have any questions for me that you want to ask me tonight?